Welcome, everybody, to the latest edition of the Nosebleeds. I am Chris Witt. With me, as always, is my much skinnier cousin, Adam Schmidt. Adam, how are you today, sir?
Divine. How are you?
If I was any better, I'd be you. We are coming to you guys today from our hometown of Cincinnati, Ohio, down in the dungeon, a.k.a. Studio A, a.k.a. my office. Today we got a lot of things to get to, Adam. So we have the NBA Conference Finals. We have our red-hot Cincinnati Reds being the Cincinnati home team. Listen, we love the MLB, so the Reds are our main topic. So if you don't like it, I apologize, but it is what it is. Mm-hmm. We also have a topic that I'm very interested in with the possible legalization of gambling on sports, a little bit on some Jordan documentary, and a new fun segment that we'll get to a little bit later. I think all our listeners will definitely enjoy it. It involves them, all of our listeners.
Get involved.
Get involved. So first and foremost, thanks everybody for listening. You can find us on iTunes, CastBox, SoundCloud, and YouTube at the NoseBleeds Sports Podcast. You can find us on Facebook at the NoseBleeds Sports Podcast, and listen, like, subscribe, follow, the thumbs up, the whole 9 yards. Just about anything you can do it. If you follow us or subscribe to us, you'll receive a Lamborghini in your driveway the next morning. Did you know that?
Yep. Yeah, so if you subscribe to all of those things,
every one of them,
3 Lamborghinis.
So speaking of following, Adam, you can be found on the old tweet box at
Adam Schmidt 44.
That's right, and I'm at Sick With It. All right, so let's go, Adam. So let's get started with a little NBA talk. So we have the Coach of the Year. We talked about this a little bit last week, how Brad Stevens did not get Coach of the Year. In fact, not a single one of his peers voted him as Coach of the Year. Yep. Instead, Dwayne Casey wins.
Right. Yeah, the National Basketball Coaches Association votes on this award, and they gave it to Dwayne Casey, who's not undeserving. But like you said, and I was mistaken last week. I said I thought it might have been Brett Brown that I heard didn't get any votes. You were right. It was Brad Stevens, and that's absurd.
It's that is the absolute craziest thing that I can even think of, that Brad Stevens takes this team and doesn't get one vote. I'm going to tell you right now, the other NBA coaches don't like that guy. It's the only thing that makes sense. There's got to be some kind of ego thing. He seems like a nice guy, really approachable. When he was at Butler, he was. Mm-hmm. But there's got to be something about this dude that the rest of the coaches don't like, because there's no way he gets 0.
I agree with you. I can't imagine what people wouldn't like about Brad Stevens unless he's just a huge jerk out, off the court or something. But I don't get that feeling at all. But
no.
Not only did he not receive votes, he was the Coach of the Year. There's no, you can really make a case for several guys. He was the Coach of the Year. He was the best coach in the NBA this year.
100%. There's nobody that did anywhere near as good a job as him.
Congratulations to Dwayne Casey.
And what did he get for it?
He got fired for it.
He got fired. He won Coach of the Year a day, 2-3 days later, whatever it was, got canned. Hey, sorry, you can't. You had the best season in Raptors history, correct?
Yeah.
Number 1 seed. You made it to. Unfortunately, LeBron had a team that changed 3 times throughout the year, so they went through a few losing streaks. So you got caught with them in the second round. And how do you fault somebody for losing consistently to LeBron James?
It was like what we were talking about when we talked about the possibility of Brian Price getting fired from the Reds.
Yeah.
But in a much larger scale, because Dwayne Casey had the best season in Raptors history, was the number 1 seed in the East. He's the longest tenured coach in Raptors history, the all-time winningest coach in Toronto Raptors history. And he got, after this season that they had, this is his, I think, 6th or 7th season, after this season, they let him go. He won Coach of the Year, and they let him go.
He took his team this year, put a whole new offense in. Mm-hmm. He completely redid the way that he subs players in. He's got the deepest bench in the East now because he plays so many players. Mm-hmm. This is the first year of that. The first year of them switching things around, they become the number 1 seed in the East. Sorry, you lost to LeBron James. I guess they're sick and tired of having we lose to LeBron James. Guess what? Every single team in the East loses to LeBron James.
Everybody for the last, was it 8 years, has
years
lost to LeBron James.
LeBron James in the East.
And look, the Raptors have this thing on their backs that they can't get past not only LeBron, but they just can't get to the Eastern Conference Finals. They haven't been able to get past anybody.
Right.
They've not been good in the playoffs. No matter how good they've been in the regular season, they haven't been good in the playoffs.
And this year they actually played a little bit. This was the Kyle Lowry and DeRozan, or help me out. The other guard there,
DeMar DeRozan.
DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah.
The thing of where those two just fall apart in the playoffs. They played well. They didn't really give the Cavs a series,
right?
But at least they showed up.
Yeah. There was the one game where DeRozan was sitting at the end of the game.
That was a lot.
That was kind of weird, but look, I give Dwayne Casey credit for that. Typically you want to have your best player, no matter how bad he's playing, but he didn't feel like DeRozan was giving him whoever was out there instead of him was giving them. So he made a decision, and I can't fault him for that. But yeah, he was let go because they can advance further in the playoffs.
Right. Well, all right. So we both agree that's absolutely crazy. That's it should have never happened. I don't know who they're going to go after. The only reason you fire a guy that quick is because you have somebody in mind off the bat, right?
Possibly, yeah. Yeah, they may have just said, look, he can't take us. He's Marvin Lewis. He can't take us beyond the first part of the playoffs, so we got to get somebody else in here to maybe take a team that should be really good and find some way to help them, reach that next level.
It'll be interesting to see. That's for sure. See how they do it. So let's get into the start with LeBron and the Celtics, because really it's LeBron and Kevin Love versus the Celtics in the first 2 games.
Yeah.
I said the only way that the Cavs are going to be able to advance to the finals is if somebody helps out LeBron. They had it. Multiple people helped out in the Toronto series, but Kevin Love is the only one playing with LeBron right now. Kyle Korver it's almost like they don't. I feel like he's not playing enough. And he's not shooting well. And J.R. Smith isn't shooting well. We'll get to J.R. Smith in a minute, but I feel like Korver should be in a little bit more. They obviously need more shooters because they are not shooting the ball well.
I'll tell you, Kyle Korver, I think, has been their 3rd best player. I really think that because, and I'll tell you what, he's not. So this Cavs team, number 1, is a slow team.
Yeah.
They don't have any quick players.
And he might be one of the better defensive guys on the team.
I was just going to say that. Kyle Korver, just because of his experience and his intelligence, his basketball intelligence, he's in the right spot. He plays hard on defense. He's not going to move his feet and stand in front of Terry Rozier, in front of Jason Tatum, in front of Jaylen Brown.
Not going to happen.
But he's very good at all the details, guarding the pick and roll, hedging correctly, switching, talking. That guy, you can see him talking, pointing to guys, telling them where, even when he's away from the ball, his man's away from the ball, he's on top of the defensive end.
And I think that's a big reason why the Celtics are doing what they're doing. I was listening the other day, and LeBron said that in that first game, he said he's never heard a team talk as much on the court as the Celtics do. Mm-hmm. That, to me, that tells you, listen, that they know that they don't have that 1-2 stars out there. They're playing together. They are playing the team ball that used to win championships.
Every coach at any level of basketball talks to their team about how the importance of communication and talking on defense. And that's why the Celtics are so outstanding right now on defense.
Yeah.
They are in that first game, so they treated the Cavs like birthday candles and blew them out by 25. and so they held them to 83 points, 36% shooting, 15% shooting from the three-point line. So, yeah, there's your Korver, there's your J.R. Smith, LeBron. They held LeBron James to 15 points and forced 7 turnovers in that first game. I mean, that's probably LeBron's worst game of his career. Or maybe not his career, but at least this season, right? Yeah. And it's definitely the playoffs.
100% the guy's averaging 40 points in the playoffs.
Right. So, so anyway, the first game, it was the Celtics were just outstanding. The Cavs were terrible. Not much to say about that. The second game, though, that was a better game.
Much better.
LeBron came out. He was like, you think you're going to hold me to 15 points again? I'm going to get 21 in the first quarter.
He scored half his points in the first quarter.
He did. He had.
And he could not miss. The fadeaway with no time on the shot clock. The fadeaway. I don't know if he stumbled with the ball for a second, saw the clock. That's like that was his 4th 3 of the quarter at the time, and it's at that point in time you can't do anything. You just have to hope he's gonna cool down. Mm-hmm. You just gotta wait for it to happen.
It kind of looked like one of those games where is LeBron gonna get 60 or 70 or something in this game, just the way he started and the way the shots that he was making, like you talked about.
Yeah.
But he got hit
in the head.
He got hit in the head. He had 4 points after he had 21 in the first quarter. He had 4 in the second quarter.
Mm-hmm.
And then gave him another 17 in the second half, but because he had 42, right?
42.
42 and a triple double. So he did his part, and those were the games he was putting those numbers up in these other series before this series, and that was why they were winning. This is a different story.
It's a way different team. We talked this last week about who's going to guard LeBron. I said, who's going to guard LeBron for the Celtics team, and it's going to be a steady dose. And they have played him as good as you can. Marcus Smart has been playing great against him.
Marcus Morris.
Morris has only been on him a little bit, but when he's on him, he seems to wear him down because he gets real physical with him. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, it's the Shaq LeBron thing where you can get more physical with those two than you can with anybody else because they play through contact so well. Mm-hmm. So Morris knows it, and he gets physical, and that wears him down. Then you get a guy like Jaylen Brown who does. It's not as bad when you switch off on him because all you got to do is keep your hands in front of him, and then he's tired and he's taking these fadeaway threes, and eventually he starts missing them.
Yeah. Yeah. So LeBron put up his numbers in game 2, and Kevin Love had, I think, 22 and 15.
Yep.
So he did his part too. But they didn't get a ton from everybody else. And they don't. I mean, they look tired. They look a little lazy. That's been a problem all year for them. I mean, LeBron talked about it. Tyronn Lue talked about it all year. Like, there's got to be a little more fire, especially on defense. I mean, those guys. And
I'm going to tell you, it's not coming from LeBron. I know the guy's putting up crazy numbers and stuff, but if you watch him, it doesn't look like he's got that fire right now. I mean, he did early on in the playoffs. He had a couple big shots and he was getting excited, but even from him, you don't see it when he's sitting there.
Yeah. Jeff Van Gundy mentioned during the game yesterday, he sees more eye rolls on the Cavs team than an old married couple or something, whatever his quote was. But
he comes up with some crazy shit.
He does. But yeah, they haven't been helped as much as they needed. I mean, they're gonna have to ramp it up on defense. The Cavs are, because the Celtics can struggle to score sometimes. That coupled with your increased intensity on defense, that's gonna make this a series.
Yes.
But But look, the Celtics are 9-0 at home in the playoffs.
I was just gonna say
they're not losing. They're not losing at home.
The series is not over by any means. You're going back to Cleveland. You're playing a team that hasn't lost at home. You're okay. You're okay. You're gonna have to steal one, obviously, eventually. Mm-hmm. But it didn't have to be one of the first two. Get yourself a little momentum coming. Maybe you can steal game 4. And get 3 in a row. Game 5.
Yeah. They're going to have to, and they're going to have to take care of home court. If they
go
down
now. You can't
3-0 or 3-1,
I
think they're going to be done. The way the Celtics are playing is just too good.
So speaking of not getting anything from the rest of your team, speaking of being lazy, J.R. Smith, We talked about this earlier. You wanted to make it a point to talk about J.R. Smith,
I
Al
did.
Horford play.
I did.
I'd like to know what your thoughts were on the push from behind.
Okay, so as soon as it happened, everybody, the broadcasters and everything, everybody, all the fans started screaming about flagrant 2, so dirty, everything. As soon as I saw it live, and everybody started screaming flagrant 2, get him out of here. I'm like, no, not a flagrant. As soon as I saw that, flagrant 1 for me, and then every time they showed the replay, more confirmed for me, flagrant 1. I feel like I'm the only person.
I got cold chills right now.
You agree?
I thought for sure when we talked before the show, and you were so adamant about wanting to talk about this. I was watching that game last night. I'm sitting on a couch. One of the twins were sleeping in my arms, and I went and I was like, well, that was dumb. I just thought that was stupid. He didn't push him any kind of to a demeanor of where he was trying to hurt the guy.
Right.
And he knew what he did. He knew he knew it was stupid. He said it after the game. You could see when the refs were talking about it to him. But all of a sudden, Van Gundy starts going bananas.
Yeah.
That's a flagrant 2. That's a flagrant 2. And I'm like, hold up, little bald man. Chill out, man.
Everybody was agreeing with him, too.
I don't know why they're agreeing with him. Okay, he didn't go after the ball. I agree with that. He did not go after the ball. There was no intent to hurt him. He didn't go at his head. He didn't do anything like that. Right. I won't want to say gently because there's no gently involved, but it wasn't like he was out there trying to push him into the second row.
That's my thing. That he had 2 hands and he pushed him in order to try to make him not make the shot.
Exactly.
And there was nobody in front of him between him and the basket. Al Horford had a layup or a dunk or whatever. He reacted to try to make him not.
In the old days, it was just called an intentional foul.
Yeah, and maybe not even that, depending on what era. But yeah, no, I just feel like he could have done a whole lot more than that. That would have warranted a flagrant 2.
I cannot believe that you feel that way. I was thinking that I was the only person.
Everybody
that
talked about it is saying that's such a dirty play. I can't believe he would do that. You're gonna hurt somebody. No, he did not.
Al Horford holding his back as he's standing there, and everybody's talking. You know what? The guy's 90 years old. Yeah, he's holding his back. Probably holds his back here every time he goes to the ground. 2 people come to help him up because he's an old man.
Sure. And he moves like a much older man than he is. But that was my whole thing. Is the push just looked a little worse because he was in midair. Anytime. That happens so often, I feel like, where guys get up in the air, and because you can just get bumped a little bit, and that throws your balance off, and you're in the air, and you can't do a whole lot about it until you land. And that it makes fouls look so much worse, and that was the case in this one. He didn't push him that hard.
Whereas when a guy gets beat, and you see these guys doing the same exact thing harder, and nothing's getting called, just a regular foul.
Yeah. So I felt like. I wanted to say that because all day on the radio and on TV and stuff, everybody talked about it and was like, such a dirty play. I'm like, that's not a flagrant 1 was the exact right. I was so excited because of how much they were talking about how it should be a flagrant 2 and there's no place for this in the game and he's got to be ejected. I'm like, you can't eject a guy for that foul. No. You can't do it. But so I'm glad we brought that up because I've wanted to say something about it all day, and
I gotta tell you, I am thoroughly impressed with the fact that we just agreed on that because I thought, in fact, when we were writing down and going over how we were gonna kind of put this show out, we were trying to figure out where to put the JR, and I was like, hey, we'll spend a couple minutes on it because I didn't want to really get into it that much because in my head I was going to say, look, Adam, I'm gonna tell you the truth, brother. I don't think it was that big of a deal.
It wasn't.
And then, sure enough. So anyway, all right. So speaking of dirty players, let's move on to the Warriors series and talk about Draymond Green.
Oh boy,
Mr. Dirtiest player of them all.
He
look, maybe not of all of them.
He in game one, he had a good game. He had, I think he only scored 4 or 5 points, but he had 9 rebounds, 9 assists. He's at that. He flirts with a triple-double every single game because he does everything, and he's the best defensive player in the series. So he's going to be a contributor, and he's been really good in the playoffs, good in the playoffs. And then you have Kevin Durant, who had 38. Steph Curry actually only had 18, I think it was, in that first game. But Klay Thompson hit 6 threes, had 28. Those guys, I mean, everybody knows what the Warriors are about. They share the ball really well, and they make shots. They just have a bunch of guys that really make shots, a bunch of smart players, and they play defense. They're a high octane offensive team that also plays pretty good defense. And you're going to have to against the Houston Rockets because they were the best offensive team in the league most of the year. So you're going to have to figure out what to do with James Harden and Chris Paul and some of their shooters.
In our lifetime, or even beyond, have you ever seen a team that had 3 sharpshooters, 3 people that could all shoot this well?
No.
You're talking about 3 guys that could consistently could be called the best shooter. I mean, you got the kid that came from Kentucky. What's his name?
For the
Warriors? Suns.
Oh, Devin Booker.
Devin Booker. So you got a guy like Devin Booker, and you got guys like that, and JJ Redick, who are just pure shooters. Mm-hmm. But guys scorers that can shoot. You have the 3 best in the NBA, in my opinion. I mean, Steph Curry obviously is the most fascinating of the 3. Klay Thompson is the most consistent of the 3, and KD is the best of the 3. Every one of them are as good as would be the best 3-point shooter on any other team. It's unbelievable to me. I can't ever remember of a team that even had. I mean, maybe some that had 2, but I can't ever remember a team that had something like that.
So I'm definitely not a fan of what is so prevalent right now, where everything is an overreaction. Everybody just overreacts and sensationalizes everything that happens. Where a guy, LeBron James has 40 points in a game. Oh my God, he's the greatest player ever. Obviously, stuff like that happens almost every night. That makes people say, everybody says GOAT. Everybody says everybody's the GOAT.
Oh,
everybody's the GOAT. Oh boy, do I hate that.
GOAT. That's another one, huh?
Anyway.
All right. So
boy,
GOAT's another one we don't like.
So
okay.
anyway, you will not hear me say anybody's the GOAT. Okay, even Michael Jordan, I will not call him that. I will say the greatest of all time or whatever.
I like that.
He's not the GOAT. Okay. Anyway, so having said that, I already think Steph Curry is the best shooter of all time.
Wow.
I already do.
Well, I'm going to tell you that it's hard for me because, we are Reggie Miller, that time frame, and I think Reggie Miller was an amazing shooter. Larry Bird, obviously, pure shooter. Ray Allen is right there with those guys. Steph Curry has the quickest release I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yep.
He can hit. I mean, the guys, if he's 6 foot, he's lucky. They say he's 6'1", but if he's 6 foot, let's be honest. I mean, he's right at that 6 foot
mark. He's a tiny basketball player.
Yes, and he can have a guy who's 6'7" in his face and get a shot up before the guy can get his hand up. It's the quickest release, and it's when you see it in live time. In my head, I'm like, oh, that's tip. Oh, it just looks like a bad shot. Like that's a bad. But when you slow it down and you watch replays, every single shot is the same. Whether he's wide open or he takes that quick release, it comes off his hand the exact same way. It's amazing.
And what impresses me about it too is it's the same shot whether he's shooting a 5-footer or a 45-footer.
Yeah.
He can shoot. I'm telling you, for how small a guy he is, he shoots the same exact looking shot from half court.
Yeah.
You know what kind of strength that takes?
I was just going to say, he doesn't look like a strong guy.
He doesn't.
But I don't know if it's coming from your legs or it's got to be, I assume.
It's everything. He puts together he shoots the ball with his entire body correctly. His feet, his legs, his hips, his elbow, his release.
Your eyes. You're in love. I think you're in love.
I am in love. I'm totally in love with Steph Curry.
I agree.
And so what's funny is it's very likely that he and Klay Thompson were already, before Kevin Durant got there, the best shooting duo in league history.
Yeah.
I mean, and then you added Kevin Durant, who's also a 50, 40, 90 club guy.
Which is ridiculous.
You have 2 of those guys on one team, and it's only been done by like 5 guys ever.
And one of them's on the Cavs.
So yeah.
Not LeBron James.
It's right. But so the
Anyway,
Warriors.
beside that.
Now, having said all this, look, the Warriors are going to win this series. I think, no question about it.
They stole their one game they needed. They lost tonight. They lost by 22 tonight. They lost big, but James Harden. You're in Houston. They got their one. They know going into it they needed one game in Houston. They got it. At that point in time, okay, now we can maybe possibly have 3 days. I call it 3 days rest because take today as a rest game. You come out there, everybody starts shooting well. Maybe you steal one, but maybe steal two. But if not, it's not a big deal. You're going back to Golden State. You're going to end up being up 3-1.
Yeah, I think they'll take both in Golden State. I think the Warriors are a better coach team. I don't dislike Mike D'Antoni, but I think Steve Kerr is considerably better a coach.
Mike D'Antoni finally got the team he needed to run his offense that he's been running with 1,000 different teams that have been decent, but this team here, he's got the point guard, he's got that second option who's better than the point guard, where Nash was always the better player. Mm-hmm. But anyway,
so it's 1-1. Well, yeah, just in general about the series, it's 1-1 now, but I think we both agree it's going to Oakland now, and I think we both agree they're probably going to take both of those games.
I would think that's going to happen. Now, I do want to bring this up real quick before we get off of the Warriors and get into our next segment, which is the new segment that involves our listeners. I want to talk about I can't figure out if I like Draymond Green or if I dislike him, because I like a guy who plays like crazy, and I kind of like a little banter here and there. I don't like negative. I don't like when people are yelling negative things. I like the Joel Embiid having some fun, messing around. The Maurice Morris getting in Tristan Thompson's face. I'm not a big fan of that. And so the beginning of the game one in this Houston Warriors series, right when a game started, James Harden goes up for a layup over top of and goes into Draymond Green, and Green walks into him, and then as he runs into Harden, acts like Harden did something to him, and he's like goes to hit him in the mouth, like he's gonna push him, and starts yelling and screaming, yelling at the ref. I mean, he looked like a child. He was so hot, so pissed. Harden must have said something, because there was no reason for him to be acting like he was acting, like Harden hit him. So then this is what he does, though. He gets a foul for that, and immediately, right after 2 minutes later, gets a second foul because he's stupid. And there's I don't remember who was shooting a three in the corner. Somebody shot a three in the corner, and he jumped up and literally jumped into the guy, hit his arm, his hand, and then his hip ran into the guy's body while he's still in the air, and then fell on top of him. They call a foul, three-shot foul, and he went nuts. What in God's name are you crying about? You fouled the crap out of the guy. I hate that. That pisses me off. If I foul somebody, we play together. Yep. If I foul somebody, I did it. I got you, bro. I'm my bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't make the shot, then I'm like, look, you didn't make it. Go earn it at the line. But don't whine like a child. Oh my God, it irritates me.
We talked about that for a while on a previous podcast about officials and the relationship between players and officials and stuff. And yeah, I mean that's a big thing to me. I would love to see them fix that. And it's funny you mentioned that, because Joe, right before we went on the air, texted me and said, "I feel so bad for the refs in this series because every single play these guys are all over them." And I just text back and said every series, because it's just like that. But it might be ramped up because it's the playoffs and because it's the Warriors and they kind of cry a little bit. And Draymond is known for saying a little bit, going overboard and getting technicals left and right. And,
exactly.
But he's got to know. I mean, that cost them the year that the Cavs beat them. That's why I think Draymond Green missed, was it game 5 or 6, because he got suspended because he had too many technicals. And
that's the reason that LeBron has. That's why Cleveland has the championship, is because he wasn't able to play.
It's a big difference. And I think he learned from that, though. he didn't look like he learned from it in the beginning of that game one, like you said, but I think he knows better now because he's been mostly better behaved this season, but he knows you can't do that. He cannot cost them that much again.
Exactly. All right. So I want to get into this new segment that we got. I want to send a shout out to my buddy Brian. Brian, who hit us up on Facebook to let us know that we were crazy if you think that a group no-no is better than an individual no-no. And we said we'd never say no-no.
Yeah,
but I'm just,
that.
that was in quotations as well because we made a big deal about hating the word no-no. Anyway, so I wanted to start something new. If you comment on something, I want you to start off by saying something like this. You're crazy.
You're crazy.
Oh, man, that did not come off as quick and as crisp as I thought it was going to be. So anyway, we're going to call this segment You're Crazy, and it's basically if you think we said something crazy, send us a comment, get on Facebook, get on the Nosebleeds Facebook, comment on the Facebook, let us know what you think we say is crazy, and then I'm going to come on and tell you why I think you're crazy or why I might agree with you. Mm-hmm. So anyway, going back and thinking about what he says here, that the individual is better than the group, I think maybe I might have got a little ahead of myself. Mm-hmm. The group no-hitter is more interesting maybe to me, more enjoyable because there's a lot more intrigue to it. But more difficult, I think I might have gone a little overboard because you got live arms and the opponent's batting average on the norm jumps up like 100 points or somewhere in that range the third time around in the batting order. So to throw a no-hitter, you have to see everybody at least 3 times. That does make it incredibly difficult, whereas with new live arms coming in consistently, especially if you have a really good bullpen, it's not hard to I shouldn't say it's not hard to do. It's not harder. So Brian, you said you're crazy. I might have to agree with you. Please, though, what do you think?
I don't know if you're crazy, but I still feel like the team no-hitter is more difficult and more impressive because for what you said about it last week, you have new guys coming in, say you have 3 guys come out of the bullpen and end up pitching. All 3 of those guys have whatever history in their day before the game, the last several days, however much they've pitched, how they're feeling, what's going on. Like a guy can come out and look, in a no-hitter, your best bullpen guys are going to come out of the pen and pitch. But still, you have 3 or 4, however many it is, guys that come out and they might just have an off day. And guys are in the bullpen for a reason too. A lot of times, and that's the other thing too. Is yes, your batting average jumps up the third time through the order, but a lot of teams want to get to a pitcher early to get him out of the game to get to their bullpen because the bullpen's theoretically not as strong as a starter.
I agree with what you're saying there because that's basically exactly what I said last week. However, I think the reason you don't see as many combined pitcher no-hitters, that come out right? Combined pitcher no-hitters, yeah. Right. That reason is because if you're throwing a no-hitter and you're in the game, there's a 98% chance you're not coming out unless you give up a hit. And a lot of times it's in the 8th inning, and they'll give up their first hit, and then in will come up that dominant setup man and then the dominant closer. If you take him out before that and you put in your dominant setup man and then your dominant closer, your 2 best arms, not just get out a pitcher early and get an arm in there, the 2 best arms in the bullpen, which are in the bullpen for a reason, and it's not because they can't start, it's because they're electric in that 1 inning mentality, then I think there would be more if guys will let them. But nobody's ever going to really let a pitcher come out. If you're throwing a no-hitter, you're going to be in the game. They're letting you get at it. I would never take my pitcher out if he's throwing a no-hitter. He's going all the way till he gets it. He's either going to give up a hit, or he's there's no way. You throw 150 pitches as far as I'm concerned, being the 6th inning. You're throwing a no-hitter. Keep on going, brother.
Wow. You don't feel like that could ruin an arm?
No, I think that why are more arms ruined now than they ever were before? Is it just because people are throwing harder? Okay, well, I don't think so. Oral Hershiser threw 130 pitches. There was some crazy stat that he averaged like 120 pitches an outing or something one year and never missed a start. Guys did it all. That's what you did back then. You never saw the, as many injuries or pitchers missing games like they did before. Yeah, I say go 100 pitches. I hate that 100 pitches. Why is every single pitcher that 100 pitch mark? No, every pitcher's different. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's an average. Okay, well, that guy needs to throw 90 and this guy can throw you 120. Mm-hmm. Let him do it. Quit this exact 100 pitch crap. I hate it. It's not an exact science.
Yeah, you would think the bigger, stronger pitchers that are power pitchers that throw a ton of fastballs would be able to go a little longer because they throw harder, which I guess takes a lot out of your arm, but they're not. I feel like it's the breaking pitches, the spin and the arm action that you have to.
Well, that's where your Tommy John and all that's
right.
coming from, your elbow,
right.
The twists of the elbow,
and I feel like that's where pitchers that are kind of those finesse pitchers that try to spot breaking balls and stuff. Those guys are the ones that might only be able to throw 90 pitches or whatever, and then they're going to have to come out because then they're going to ruin their arm if they throw 120.
Have you ever watched in slow motion a guy that throws 100 miles an hour just throw a fastball?
Yeah, I've seen it.
It makes me feel like their arm does things that it shouldn't do.
It's disgusting.
It's
if you
so
really
much fun.
slow down a pitcher's arm when he throws, it's kind of disgusting, actually.
I agree. It's fun, though. Okay, so, Brian, we appreciate it. Thank you for commenting. And anybody else, please go to the Nosebleeds Facebook, comment on us, start it off with a "you're crazy," and
you're crazy. You're crazy.
And we'll go with it. So I'm definitely going to change the theme for that. But
we tried it.
Yeah, we gave it a go. Wanted to go. So anyway, definitely comment on the Nosebleeds Facebook, and we'll give you a shout out as well as tell you what we think about what you had to say. All right. So speaking of pitching, our Cincinnati Reds, buddy, they are red hot right now. They lost 2 games. They won today, but before that, the week before that, they were on fire last week. And we talked a lot about this pitcher named Matt Harvey, who I cannot stand still to this day. Threw 4 innings today, gave up 3 runs, but his first start was on Sunday. Was it Sunday? No, I think it was Thursday. Sorry, it was on Thursday because it was the day after. It was on Thursday. 1 hit through 4 innings, took him out because they're only throwing him 4 innings. And I got about 500 texts telling me how I'm the craziest. How, look at this, the greatest player in the world, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Oh, they said you're crazy, huh?
They said, you're crazy. I'd hit the button, but it takes 5 seconds for it to play. So, anyway.
So Matt Harvey was he was really good in his first outing. He only threw like 77 pitches, I think it was, because they're still trying to stretch him. And then today I didn't get a chance. It was a day game. But
I listened to a little bit of it. He sounded okay. He gave up 3 runs, 4 innings.
I think
it's
I heard
not great.
5 strikeouts. I don't know how many.
He struck out the side in the 4th.
Okay.
So that was, it's a way to end it. As far as I'm concerned, it's time to go 5.
And if he
go 5, go throw him 5th inning. What are we doing here?
And from what I understand, he got into trouble a couple of times and got out of it, and so he's getting some good experience while he's trying to work through whatever was ailing him in New York and
bubble gutitis. I am going to my grave saying that he had bubble gutitis.
Yeah, whatever that is, it sounds pretty disgusting.
Drinking too much.
Yeah.
Too much draft beer.
Mm-hmm.
Give you a bubble gut.
Yeah, at the strip club that they sent out a press release for him. I'm sure.
Oh goodness! All right, so off of Matt Harvey, I can't stand this guy. Anyway, so let's go over to a guy who's really killing the ball right now for these Cincinnati Reds, and I've had so much fun this past week. This dude has done everything. He won Player of the Week in Major League in the National League last week, and he's on his way to doing it again this week. Scooter Gennett hit another home run today and had a double. The guy is on fire. I don't know exactly what he's hitting right now, but I know that Votto was at 291 going into the game, and I believe he's around 326. But he's got 7 bombs. The guy is. I don't know how a guy that small can create as much power as he does. But you talked about Steph Curry starting from the legs all the way up and putting it all together perfectly. This kid, Scooter Gennett, his swing, I mean, he gets every single thing out of his swing, out of his body into the swing. Kind of reminds me of the way that Dustin Pedroia swings. A small guy like that just gets from his toes to his hands. It's sexy, man. I think it's sexy. I'm not going to lie to you. It gets me excited. It kind of turns me on.
I had a crush on Steph Curry. You have a crush on Scooter Gennett. That's
just
fine.
For the moment. It's a small crush. I always have a crush on Votto, but it's a small crush.
Yeah. Gennett was awesome in that game. He had his first four home runs in home runs in 4 consecutive games.
Exactly.
During that last week, his slash line or whatever was during last week was incredible. But the 4-game series they played over the weekend against the Dodgers, he was even better in just that series. He hit like 750 or something like that in that series, and had 3 home runs and 10 RBIs or something like that. But Scooter Gennett is hitting the heck out of the ball. Suarez is still hitting the ball. Votto's hitting now. They've got Hamilton is hitting the ball better.
Run down this batting lineup. And to be honest, Peraza is hitting the ball. Peraza's hitting the ball well.
This is something I wanted to bring up to you. Peraza is, I think, second on the team in hits. He's hitting the ball, and he's hitting, I think, 267,
269,
269. His on-base percentage is worse than Billy Hamilton's, and he's leading off a lot of days.
I know that. I saw that same exact stat. Peraza is going to get his chance because Billy couldn't do it, so they're giving somebody else a chance. You gave Billy that long. You gave Billy 5 years. You're giving this guy 6 months. A couple months last year, a couple months this year. Come on, man. Give it. Don't. I know you love Billy. You talk about having a crush. Your Billy Hamilton crush. You're putting Peraza on a short leash, but Billy Hamilton's short leash was 5 years long.
Look, if the argument was you can't bat Billy Hamilton in the leadoff spot because he doesn't get on base, and Peraza's is worse.
I agree, but I loved Billy Hamilton for 3 years. I couldn't wait to see this guy do it. And Peraza, he's not just as fast, but the kid is lightning fast.
He's fast.
That's what you love about Billy Hamilton, his speed. Billy Hamilton steal a base, Peraza can steal a base. He's got to get on base. I'm not saying that Peraza's great, but at least he's hitting 270.
Yeah, that is important, and that's better because, look, Billy Hamilton wasn't getting on base, and he was hitting 156 or whatever it was,
exactly.
172 or whatever. But he has improved. Billy's improved. We talked about it the last couple weeks.
We did. But if you just go down, just look at this. Peraza 269, Gennett 327, Votto 289, Duvall, he's under Mendoza.
He's been bad.
Schebler 245, which is not good. You think he's going to be around 265? I figured 260, 265. Either way, 250 is about where he was at last year. 252, I think, is when he ended at. Anyway, Blandino, 278. Winker, 258, which I think that'll go up.
Yeah, so do I.
Hamilton is probably as high as he's going to get at 212.
You slippery dog.
I'm going to tell you right now, I like Billy Hamilton. I've always liked Billy Hamilton. I just don't think he belongs in a starting rotation on this team. However, Duvall's not hitting the ball. Mm-hmm. So, he had a bomb today, and it was his 8th. So, he's all or nothing, which we talked about that a couple episodes ago too. Right. So, I guess him and Duvall should be going in and out, but Schebler and Winker for sure should be in this lineup all the time.
Yeah. It's nice to see the way they started. Was so bad, and now they're 15-29, I think, after today. So that's that's such a such an increase from 3 and
better.
18.
Yes.
So yeah, it's nice to see them winning some games, and they look. The Reds have historically been really bad on the West Coast, and they just finished a West Coast road trip 5-2.
Yes. Unbelievable.
How this team, the way they started, finished a West Coast road trip, 4 against LA, 3 against San Francisco, 5-2.
So there are now 3 teams worse than the Reds in Major League Baseball right now. They're the Baltimore Orioles, the Kansas City Royals, and the Chicago White Sox. The Reds are moving up, buddy.
They are.
I joked about it last week, but hey, we're moving up. I'm telling you, after that little road stretch, I'm looking forward to them coming home.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to get to a game. I haven't been to a game yet this year.
We've been to one.
I bought a season ticket package, kind of. It's like the voucher package.
Yeah.
You get 20 vouchers.
So you just pick a game whenever. Yeah.
So I haven't used any yet. I want to go. And then I got tickets to another game.
Cubs this weekend, man. We got a doubleheader on Saturday.
Do they really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, doubleheader on Saturday.
We have our
Relay for Life.
Relay for Life, yeah.
Donate Relay for Life.
Yeah.
Wherever city you're in, you should definitely donate to Relay for Life.
Right.
They do it all over the place, whether you walk or you don't walk around the track. It's a great cause.
Yeah. It's
Cancer Society,
the American
correct?
Cancer Society,
Yes.
yeah. If you want to go to relayforlife.org, I believe it is. Just search for Relay for Life, or Relay for Life West Side. It's west side of Cincinnati. Always Our Sunshine is our team.
That's
you can
us.
get on there. You can donate to our team if you want to. You can register and not come if you want to. You don't have to pay anything to register if you just want to kind of be a member of our team. If you want to do anything like that, get on there and support us. Anyway,
everybody has had someone in their life that has gone through cancer, whether it be a survivor, not a survivor. This is something that is incredibly important to us and our family, and we do this team. Adam is in charge of it. He is the man. He's got the Relay for Life shirt on today. The Always Our Sunshine. Check them out. They're on Facebook as well. Anyway, that's our quick shout out for that.
Yep. All right, back to the Reds.
So, so the Cubs. So they're a doubleheader Saturday. They got 4 against the Cubs this weekend. It's going to be a blast. I think you're going to see, obviously, every time the Cubs come into town, there's a ton of fans there because they're mostly Cubs fans. But I think after this stretch, you might see the weather's getting nicer. You're going to start seeing some Reds fans come back to the ballpark, which is going to be fun. In fact, I'm looking at the schedule right now, and next Thursday is a 12:35 game. And I consider myself a businessman. So I might as well go to the special.
You might as well.
Right?
You should go.
I think I might do
special.
it. I think I might be heading to the businessman special.
Yeah.
I gotta find
Business
some. I gotta
Day
find
special now. I think.
Yeah, is that what it's called?
It's politically
Business
correct
Day
now,
special.
Yeah.
So I
businessman or woman.
There you go. So I just got to find a customer that is interested in watching the Pirates and the Reds, and I think we might be able to make this happen.
You should do that. You should
All
book
right.
it.
Bill, if you're listening, my boss, I'm probably going to be going to the Reds Pirates game Thursday.
Purely a work outing, though.
100%. So speaking of the Reds and going to the game, okay, so this week, a couple days ago, big news came out in the sports world. Congress voted. We only got a few minutes, so we're going to touch on this real quick. Congress voted that, I think it was 7-2 or some vote. I don't understand how that whole thing works. I thought there was like millions of people in Congress, but only 9 people voted apparently. Anyway, that's my American history right there, or American government class.
The only 9 people in Congress that are sports fans.
That are sports fans. Yeah, Rafael Palmeiro. What were they calling Palomiro or whatever?
Oh boy.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, so they approved sports gambling. It's going to be it's a state by state deal. So each state now has the opportunity to approve it. New Jersey has already said they are jumping ahead of it. They want to be able to have this up and running by the time the finals get here next week. So was it? Oh, it's probably a week and a half. Anyway, first off, what do you think? We got 10 minutes here, so let's make this quick. What do you think about this? What do you think it'll do to the sport?
Well, number one, it depends on which states adopt legalizing it. Or
Okay,
not.
so real quick, 43 states have adopted casinos. Now have casinos. 44 states now have lottery. So the majority of states are already coming into the casino is the big one, but the majority of states already have some form of gambling or lotto out there. So anyway, tell me what you think.
So yeah, and I don't know how different betting on sports is going to be. I don't know if you're a state that has casinos, if you're just kind of automatically grandfathered into, you just go ahead and start letting people bet on sports, or if you have to actually pass a law that legalizes.
Each state is going to have to pass a law.
Okay, so they'll still have to do that, whether they already have a casino or whatever. But the ones with casinos, obviously, it'll make it easier for them to get it going. So it's going to depend on that, and then it's going to depend on the leagues and how much they want to get involved. And look, I think every professional
the leagues don't have a choice at this point in time. It's already been passed. There's nothing they can. It has nothing to do with the leagues.
Well, what I mean by that is how much they want to regulate it, how much they want to be in charge of allowing fans to bet on their league. So the most progressive commissioner in professional sports is Adam Silver in the NBA.
He's been talking about
He's been talking about this for a couple years, and so you would think the NBA is gonna grab hold of this and go for it. I think it makes sense, because if the individual leagues set up their own way to gamble on their games, that's where it's gonna change the revenue for these leagues like incredibly.
Yeah.
So and that's gonna have an impact on a couple of things too. Every time the Players Association in any league has to renegotiate a new collective bargaining agreement, you're going to have a ton more revenue now to talk about, how much are the players going to get, how much are the owners going to get. That's going to be a big thing. I mean, that could actually lead to strikes if you think about it. I mean, if they can't get together on that, and that's something that creates a work stoppage, that could be a negative impact.
Let me tell you something that is kind of a misnomer, I think, about the sports gambling world. If you talk to the Vegas casinos, they're not making their biggest dollar amounts in those sports books. That's in the casinos, at the slots and the tables and things like that. The sports book, and Brett Musburger, who has always been, he retired and got into running I don't know if he's running a sports book or what he's doing, but that's kind of his thing now. And I was listening to him, and there is a ton of money that is moved in a sports book. The volume is incredible, but the percentage of what you're making is small. So you're making a very low margin. It's huge numbers. Don't get me wrong. They're phenomenal numbers. So that small margin is still a lot of money. But I don't think it's as much as everybody is jumping off here thinking. And two, the only way these leagues are going to make money off of this is if they come up with a way to gamble on their games through the league. So a lot of people think that this is going to bring a lot of new people in. If you're a gambler, you probably either already have a bookie or you already have an offshore account through one of these websites that are out there. There's multiple of them in Costa Rica and everywhere else where they go. Right. So chances are, if you this isn't going to bring a ton of new gambling into baseball or into sports. I don't think. I think that if you're gambling and you have an idea, you're already doing it. Personally, now on that note, Major League Baseball is behind the 8 ball on everything. Yeah. They are always behind. The best thing Major League Baseball could do right now is, in every single state that approves this, immediately get a betting window at every park. I would, if I were the Reds, if I was different teams, I'd already be taking a hot dog stand out that gets no run, that they usually leave the gates down on anyway and don't even open it, and turn that into a betting stand.
Yeah.
And I think if you want to get young people into it and you want to get this new crowd, you need some kind of new motivation into it. You know the NFL is going to take off on it. You know that the NBA is. The NBA is going to jump on this. They're going to be the first ones. Adam Silver's probably already been figuring out how to do it. That little pencil-looking guy. I like him. He's awesome, but he looks like a pencil. Anyway, so yeah, that I think baseball has got. They won't. They're not going to.
You don't think so?
Because I don't think they will. I think they'll be the last of the three. Baseball is the most not normal game to bet on. So the way that you bet on baseball is completely different than the way that you bet on a score for a basketball game, the spreads and things like that. It's not a spread on every game the way that it works. So anyway, I won't get into all that. But I think that they'll be the last just because that's how they are. They just let everything go by them. I hope Rob Manfred does something better. But people have been talking about, will this affect the game with people trying to push money into people to have players do things that they, to throw games, things like that. Pros are already making so much money. There's not a lot of big gamblers that are going to be able to throw enough money at a pro to make them do something. But now you're talking about this becoming legal. Eventually, it's going to trickle down into college, and I think that might be where you see some fishy business going on. I'm not.
There's already so much fishy.
There
business
is.
going on.
I know that is so true. That is so true. So maybe it is. Maybe it's just the same old, same old. I don't. Maybe it is. I hope this happens. I hope every single state that has baseball, basketball, football opens this up. I hope Cincinnati definitely does. I incredibly enjoy it. I don't put a lot of money on games, but I like to bet on multiple games. It makes Sundays fun. It makes Saturdays fun. Gives you a reason to watch more baseball games, basketball games that I normally wouldn't pay attention to. So it's going to bring life into the sport. I think it's good. I can't wait for it to happen. Plus, people have been doing this with these stupid DraftKings leagues forever. That's gambling. It's so silly. Yeah. That is gambling.
Well, and that's why they were shut down.
New Jersey's the one that started it because of that.
So yeah, look, I think we're a little different on this, not totally, but a little bit in that I think there is a ton of money to be made here, and I think it will bring a lot more people because I think there are sports fans. There are a lot of sports fans that already bet on games through, they were doing it through. I have, some friends that were really into it for a while, but it's. I think it'll be, because it's legal now, I think more people will at least try it out and see what it's like. I might even try. I'm not a gambler at all. I don't care about. I know very little about gambling,
but that's
because
the thing.
I don't really care about it. But
if you were going to gamble, this is how you would gamble because you know sports. When you gamble on what you know. Mm-hmm. People that you see, these guys at the horse racing places gambling all day, they're at the horse race. They love horse racing. That's what they love. They're gambling on it. People that are, that love sports, now you have your option.
Yeah, and I can't imagine I'll really get into it, but I would probably try it.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I'd probably mostly bet on, well, I don't know. It's so hard because, like,
you are the most indecisive person in the world. You'd be terrible at this.
Never mind. You're right.
You would stand at the betting window. You'd be looking at the guy, and it would be, let's say you're at a Bengals game and the spread's 3, and you're like, man, 3. Oh man, Jeezel Pete's 3. The Bengals could easily win by 4, but it would be so easy for them, for Baltimore to lose. To only win by 2, man, I just don't know. I'd have to kick you out of line.
That's a perfect impression of me, honestly. That's exactly right. Yeah, I am pretty indecisive, and that's why I don't do a lot of things, honestly. but anyway, and gambling's probably going to remain one of those.
You try it once. No, right? I will. No reason not to. Get out there. I'll take you to. I want to, when they open up these windows at these games, which I don't know if that's how it's going to be, or if it'll be I don't go to casinos, so I'm not a big casino guy. But if they're somewhere, I want to be with you. Go to the first window and place a bet with you.
I think they might do that. They might have windows at the parks and stuff. But I think it's
apps,
all going to be
it's going to be
apps.
computers.
I think
apps,
you're going to be able to do everything on your phone.
Yep.
You can sit there at the game, or you don't have to. That's the thing. Like I don't think this necessarily is going to bring more people to games because I don't think it's going to be. I don't think you're going to be required to go to games to gamble on them. Obviously, I mean,
not at all.
Yeah.
No, there's nothing. Not at all like
it's
that.
going to be. They're going to make it as easy as possible for you, so that it's easier for you to spend a ton of money.
Yep.
And so, anyway, so the one thing, the other thing, the very last thing that I was thinking about was not only the collective bargaining agreement and the players and owners trying to figure out who's going to get this extra revenue, but and this isn't going to happen very often, but the whenever there's expansion in any league and whenever there is or whenever there's a team looking to move into a new market, that might have an impact. I mean, you're not going to go to you're not going to move your team to a state that doesn't legalize gambling because there's not as much room for
that takes
profitability
less
there.
revenue down.
Right. Yeah. So I mean that might have an impact, and we probably are going to see. We might end up seeing a team in Las Vegas in every sport now. You know, if it becomes that big.
But I feel like that would take the lure away from Las Vegas. Now everybody has it. You don't have to be in Las Vegas to bet on it now. I feel like if that was the case, well then again, if you think about it this way, where the big reason people didn't go to Vegas is because of the gambling and the sports books there. There you go. So I mean, move teams, not people in general. I mean, people with a team didn't move there because of those reasons, and they didn't want their players to get caught up in any kind of crazy stuff like that. So that was always a big thing. That's why the NHL team was such a big deal. But now that this opens up, well, now maybe they'll be like, well, everybody else has got it. Shit, let's go over there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Might as well. And I think Vegas is a great place for any sports team because you may not have the greatest home contingency, which apparently they really do have a great home fan base, but every team's away game, that is going to be where the destination that people want to go. They're going to say, oh, when are they going to Vegas? We're going to follow. We're going to go watch the Reds when they play the Vegas baseball heads or whatever. And that's what people are going to do because they wanted to have the Vegas experience, and now they can put their favorite team in with it as well.
I really hope there's a team called the Vegas Baseball Heads.
Yes, me too. I'll go ahead and trademark it tonight, and maybe I can make some money on whoever wants to move there. All right, so we're done here. I think I really appreciate Adam. Thanks for hanging out. We had some issues. Took us a little while to get started today. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Whoever's out there on whatever platform you are, whether it be iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, CastBox. Definitely subscribe. Like we said, if you subscribe to all of them, 3 Lamborghinis, just subscribe to 1 and you'll have a Lamborghini. Hit the like button, the little heart button. We'd appreciate it. We got a little contest going behind the scenes. How many new subscribers and likes we're going to have. So check it out. Listen to it. Befriend us on the Facebook, the Nosebleeds Sports Podcast. Write your comments on there. We'll send a shout out to you. And don't forget to turn your lights on. This is my favorite part. Ready?